I've always been a person who just really loves movies. One of my favorite hobbies is going to the movies and watching whatever is playing at the time. A couple months back, I managed to catch a screening of Ponyo. This was playing in my local theater because of the Studio Ghibli Fest. It was my first time watching it, and I loved it. Being someone who actively reads manga, watches anime, and just loves animation in general, you might think it's kind of crazy when I say prior to making this video, I've only ever seen 2 Studio Ghibli films. Today, we're gonna change that. Which one am I gonna connect with? Which one's gonna be my favorite? This right here is my Letterboxd account, and my top 4 favorite movies of all time looks like it was put together by a teenage boy, which at the time when I made this list, I was. I feel like this list needs a bit of an updating, so I'm hoping one of these movies takes one of these slots, but I don't know if it will. My plan for watching these movies was to start with the oldest one and then watch them in order all the way up to the newest release. So without further ado, let's begin the video. The first movie on our list was Nausica, The Valley of the Wind. This is an hour and 35-minute adventure about our main character, Nausica, trying to bring peace to this ravaged land that she inhabits. There's this toxic jungle. Inhabiting it is a bunch of giant insects that are trying to kill people. People of this post-apocalyptic world don't really like these insects and are trying to kill them, but Nausica is like, no, violence isn't the answer, and peace can be brought another way. This is one of the shorter Studio Ghibli films, but personally, I thought it felt super long. I just never really got hooked with the premise of the film. I couldn't find myself personally caring all too much about the plot. Plus, there's another Studio Ghibli film that we're gonna talk about later on that takes everything that this movie is and does it even better. 2/3 into the movie, and I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again. It's not bad, but it's like really, really simple. This movie isn't all bad though. Nausica is a really fun main character to follow, and the sci-fi elements found in this movie, it reminds me a lot of the story Dune. This dude, Lord Yupa, is voiced by the one and only Poop Emoji, aka Patrick Stewart, and he's literally my favorite character in the movie. Whenever he appeared on screen, I was so much more engaged with the movie. For this being Studio Ghibli's first film, they did an incredible job. You could just tell that this company had so much potential. And also, there's this character named Obaba in the movie, but whenever they were saying their name, I kept thinking they were saying Obama. That is 1 out of the 24 movies finished. That was pretty good. I like how the next thing that it's recommending me to watch is Adventure Time and then other Studio Ghibli films. Which one should I do? Maybe we should watch Adventure Time. Hello and welcome to my bedroom. It's pretty plain over here. I just have the stairway to hell down in the corner of my room. Right in front of me is my TV, and now it's time to continue with the second Studio Ghibli film, Castle in the Sky. This is Pazu, he's a boy, and this is Shida, she's a girl. Shida has this magical crystal that allows her to fall really slowly, kind of like the slow falling potion effect in Minecraft. A bunch of people are hunting her down because they want this crystal, including pirates and the government for some reason. This causes her to run into Pazu, and the two of them instantly become really, really good friends. You might be wondering, why do people want this crystal? Well, there's this castle in the sky. Oh my god, he said the name of the movie. And you can only really accurately locate this castle if you have the crystal around Shida's neck. So for this video, I was planning on watching all the Studio Ghibli movies in English, but then I heard Pazu's voice.
I need some meatballs for the boss, please. Looks like a body.
And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. So I watched this movie in the sub, and oh my god, thank god I did. Okay, I switched to the Japanese audio for Castle in the Sky. It's freaking Luffy. He started speaking and I was like, dude, I recognize that voice. I'm so hyped. We got Monkey D. Luffy in Studio Ghibli before Monkey D. Luffy was even a thing. That's so hyped. One Piece is my favorite series of all time, so hearing Monkey D. Luffy's voice coming out of Pazu was just so sick. Anyway, getting into the movie itself, this movie felt different. It had a lot more charm, more personality than the previous one. There was a sense of mystery and childlike wonder clashing with these themes of greed and destruction. The dynamic between our main two characters, it was just a joy to follow along with. And overall, the movie, I felt like, was just a really pleasant watch. Also, dude, this movie is so freaking beautiful. So many beautiful shots, so many beautiful moments scattered throughout this movie. I was really engaged with the story. This put a smile on my face. That one was a lot better. I really, really enjoyed Castle in the Sky. I do wish that the final arc of the film was a bit more fleshed out. I felt like that was the most interesting part of the whole thing, and we really didn't get to focus on it all too much. But regardless, it was good. My Neighbor Totaro. Now, this was the big one of the first day. Totoro is a Studio Ghibli classic, a movie that has been watched and beloved by so many people. Whenever someone talks about this studio, this movie is mentioned, and for good reason. Having never seen this movie before and knowing nothing about it, I needed to know why. So I grabbed my remote, clicked play on the movie, and I instantly got hit with this. This is already awesome. The movie starts off with this fun little song, and I really liked it. My Neighbor Totaro follows the story of these two little girls, Mei and Satsuki, as their family moves into a new home. And this is probably when you're gonna say, oh, and let me guess, Totaro is their neighbor, right? To which I would laugh at you. Ha 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 ha. What a silly thing to say. Are you crazy? You're kinda right, but like kinda wrong. This is Totaro, a giant, lazy, lovable creature. He doesn't really talk, and he honestly seems like he's high on something 24/7. I don't really know how else to explain this character. He's just weird, and I freaking love him. Totaro is like, he's just like a chill dude. And that's his whole character. Totaro lives in a giant tree, which is located in a forest, which the forest is located right next to these two little girls' new home. This movie is so weird, and I think that's what's so special about it. Now, my initial watch through of this movie, I was left a little underwhelmed when it ended, but as the days progressed, I found myself not being able to stop thinking about it. There are some very serious and real themes that are explored in this film, and for some reason, they take that and pair it up with one of the most goofiest characters you're gonna find in a Studio Ghibli movie. It left my mind in a weird state of just constantly trying to figure out what the heck was going on and why these choices were made. I think I'm tripping, man. What? What did I just watch? What is this movie trying to tell me? It's weird. The more I sat with this movie, the more I came to appreciate it. There's just something I found rather comforting about this movie, and I can't really explain what it is. It was just this feeling. It felt similar to being a kid again and just allowing your imagination to run wild. This movie works, and I don't really know why it works. For that reason, I think it's kind of awesome. Hi everyone, and welcome to the tier list section of this video. There's a total of 24 Studio Ghibli movies, so I figured we would rank them. Obviously, whichever movie gets this position right here is my favorite Studio Ghibli movie, and down over here, I hate this one. So, in day one, we watch Nausica of the Valley of the Wind, Castle in the Sky, and My Neighbor Totaro. I feel like as this list progresses, some people are gonna get frustrated that some of their favorite movies ends up in F. Don't be. Nausica of the Valley of the Wind. First of all, what an insanely long name. I would probably put this somewhere in B tier. It's pretty good, but everything we watch from here on out is, I like it a lot better. Castle in the Sky, the second movie Studio Ghibli had ever made. This one is a tough one. I definitely like it more than Nausica, the Valley of the Wind. I don't think I'm gonna give it an S tier. There's a couple of movies I like a lot more than this. I think for now, we'll go right here. My Neighbor Totaro. Definitely my favorite movie we watched today. I think I'm gonna put this right here. Grave of the Fireflies. I have never seen this one, but I've heard this one is sad. Okay, so this was the one and only movie on our list that I had to watch in 2 sittings. Reason being, I started this movie towards the end of day 1, and I got about 10 minutes in and realized that I probably need to put a lot more focus and attention into this movie because I was kind of feeling a bit tired. So I went to sleep, woke up on day 2, and let me tell you about the worst way anyone could possibly start their day. This movie is not like any other Studio Ghibli movie. This movie is gonna kill you. I thought the studio only made like kids movies. That was not for kids. Whereas other Studio Ghibli movies are trying to make you happy, and there's charm, and there's joy, and wonder. This movie is about 2 siblings trying to survive in the middle of a war. This movie is taking place during World War II, where Japan is constantly being bombed by America. There's no charm, there's no joy, there's no wonder, there's no Easter Bunny, there's no Queen of England. This movie is just sad. This movie even starts off with the narrator talking about, hey, this was the day that I died. This movie was just really heavy, and one I didn't expect to watch when I was coming up with this video. As a standalone film, I gotta say this is wonderfully made. The animation is just stunning. The story was incredibly well told, and it did a really good job, honestly, too much of a good job, in making me care about these 2 siblings. I hate this movie for that. In case you haven't watched it, I'm not gonna speak too heavily on it, but wow, that was one of the movies of all time. Oh my god. How did this and My Neighbor Totaro come out in the same year? What a complete contrast in films under the same studio. That is what the heck. But they cooked. Studio Ghibli, that was really good. That was really, really good. Oh my god. Kiki's Delivery Service. The first time I heard about this movie was actually a couple of weeks ago when I watched a YouTube short about this guy saying he didn't really like this movie. So I thought it was gonna be pretty bad. It's not bad. Kiki is a young girl who is a witch, and it's time for her to leave home, begin her training, and practice being a witch. So she grabs her broomstick, this little cat named Gigi, which Gigi is literally the best character in this movie. I don't care. Gigi is so fucking awesome. Oh my god, the cat talks. And they set out for this really interesting adventure. We spend the next hour and 42 minutes watching a film about a young girl trying to figure out what it is that makes her special. What's her purpose in this world? What can she provide for others that most people can't? The story starts off really fun and whimsical and really upbeat, but then slowly dives into very real themes of self-exploration. I found myself really connecting to a lot of the messages this movie was trying to convey, which I really didn't think was going to happen, but I'm happy it did. I really enjoyed the first half of the movie, but I think the second half is what really captured me. This movie was genuinely a pleasant surprise, and I'm really happy I watched it. Wow, I actually really enjoyed Kiki's Delivery Service. I feel like that's a movie I'm probably gonna watch again and again. I did not expect for it to have such a heartfelt message at the very end that was going to really, really resonate with me, but it actually did. The next movie that I have to watch is called Only Yesterday. Okay, this movie is a bit of a weird one for me. I think I like it, but also I'm not really too sure. This movie centers around this character named Taiko, and that's really it. Taiko is a lady in her adult life reflecting on her past. She thinks about moments in her life, friends that she knew, decisions she had made, boys that she liked. I think we've all experienced this in some way or another. Looking back on our lives and thinking about the decisions that we had made that led us up to this point. It's a really simple and interesting concept that anybody who has ever lived life, aka me and you, can easily relate to. This movie was good.
It was a pretty cute, adorable movie about like reflecting on the past and who you are as an individual right now. Not one of my favorites, definitely, but that was nice.
Okay, the next movie that we have on the list is called Porco Rosso. Hey, if you're still watching this video, consider subscribing. I'm trying to hit 30K by the end of the year, and I need your help. Now let's carry on with the video. This is actually one of the movies I am most excited to watch just because I've never heard of it before, and it involves a pig flying a plane. The P in Porco Rosso stands for peak. I'm being absolutely serious about that. Where did this movie come from? Why didn't I ever know about it? Why doesn't anyone talk about this movie? This movie is not my bread and butter. This is my bacon and ham. That didn't make any sense. I'm trying to make a pig joke. Michael Keaton voices Porco, and oh my god, he does one of the best voice acting jobs I've ever heard.
Farewell to freedom in the Adriatic and to days of wild abandon.
What is that, Shakespeare?
No, it's Porco. See you later.
Every line that came out of this pig's mouth was absolute gold. It was so cool. It had so much swagger. The dialogue, the writing in this movie was just genius. I can't stop thinking about this one scene where Porco is in a bar and there's a bunch of girls swooning over him, and he looks at the girls and says, ladies, please, please, I'm just a pig. Oh my god, it's so fucking cool. I love it, dude. I should probably tell you what this movie is about, right? Porco is a dog fighter pilot. He flies planes and he has so much style when doing it. The story is incredibly fun and action-packed, and the climax of this movie is genuinely so cool. I really love this movie. That's all I'm gonna say, because I genuinely think you should just watch it and just have a fun time with it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Porco Rosso. Dude. Porco. He's a pig, but he got that dog in him. Why doesn't anyone talk about this movie? What are we doing? Why is it that when we mention Studio Ghibli, we talk about fucking Ponyo, Spirited Away, Howls Moving Castle? Why don't we talk about this? This is Studio Ghibli's Ratatouille. This is their magnum opus. This is when they peaked. This is a hidden gem. I mean, honestly, I don't know, because I haven't seen the others. Dude, peak? From this day on, I will no longer eat any more pig. On day 2, we ended up watching 4 movies: Grave of the Fireflies, Kiki's Delivery Service, Only Yesterday, and Porco Rosso. Starting off with Grave of the Fireflies, the most depressing Studio Ghibli movie that has ever been released. I think I'm gonna put this at the top of A tier. Though I think this is a phenomenal movie, this is a Studio Ghibli tier list, and honestly, what Studio Ghibli means to me, this movie doesn't emulate it at all. Only Yesterday, though I like this movie, I will probably never watch it again. I'm gonna put this below Nausica, The Valley of the Wind. I definitely found myself enjoying this one a lot more than this one. Kiki's Delivery Service, this is a certified banger. This one is too good to not put an S tier for now. I don't think I liked it as much as Totoro, but it had so much charm. I can already tell that this list is going to move a lot when we get further down into this video. Porco Rosso. This is a banger! I'm really curious to see if this is going to end up being here at the very end of this video.
Now on day 3 of watching and ranking all the Studio Ghibli films.
This is the next one we have to watch, Ocean Waves. I don't really care for this movie. The characters in it are not likable at all, especially the potential love interest in the movie. She was really freaking annoying, dude. Actually, there's not one love interest. There's kind of like this love triangle going on. I didn't really find myself caring for any of it. I'm pretty sure this movie is the shortest one out of all the Studio Ghibli films. It didn't have me hooked at all. I just really didn't vibe with this one. I'm just gonna move on.
Well, the movie is now over. It was really short, and honestly, I don't think I like that one.
Okay, the next movie I have to watch is a movie called Pom Poko. This movie looks like nightmare fuel. Holy crap.
These guys look insanely horrifying.
Pom Poko. This movie is about shape-shifting raccoons using their abilities to stop the citizens of Japan from tearing down their forest and turning it into cities. If you think that concept sounds really cool, you're just like me. But this movie has a giant problem. It's just too much. For the first 30-ish minutes of this movie, I was really invested, but as the movie progressed, I just started thinking to myself, why are you showing me all of this? This movie starts diving into a bunch of different subplots that honestly weren't too interesting. Overall, the film just starts to lose focus very quickly. This movie at times felt like it was trying to be everything, and it did a really bad job in doing that. I actually found myself feeling really lost about 2/3 in the movie just because of how much was going on. The story structure for this one was just not great, which really sucked because I just really wanted to watch a cool movie about raccoons shapeshifting. Tony Chopper is still my favorite raccoon. And then it's Rocket Raccoon, and then Rigby, and then it's Zigzagoon. Also, there's that guy from Over the Hedge. I really liked him when I was a kid. These are the only raccoons in media that I actually like, and one of them isn't even a raccoon.
Okay, I just finished Pom Poko. That was such a weird movie, which is kind of just the running theme of this video. I feel like every single Studio Ghibli film is just weird in its own way. Japanese culture is always just so fascinating to me. Next up, we have a movie called
Whispers of the Heart. This movie is adorable.
Bro, it's the lo-fi girl. What?
Just like Kiki's Delivery Service, this movie showcases themes of our main character trying to find their purpose. This movie centers itself more on the idea of being a creative, with the main character being inspired by this boy that she meets. And in conversating with him, she expresses how she wants to one day write a novel. I really like this aspect of the story. Seeing her work up the courage to take a chance at pursuing a passion that she's really interested in was something I could really relate to. And I think the movie handled this idea really well. I feel like I need to give this movie another watch through to formulate a solid opinion on it. But for now, I will say I did have a really good time with this one.
Wow! Wow! Oh my god! Wow! No way! Oh my god! That was so good! What an ending! Oh my god! The Cat Returns. There's a sequel. When do I get to watch that? Sorry, wow. So I just finished Whispers of the Heart. And that was really good. That was really good. And next is Princess Mononoke. That's so exciting. Okay, it is a little bit later on in the day. I'm gonna watch this and then I'm probably just gonna go to bed. See how good this movie is.
Princess Mononoke. This right here is Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, the movie. Just kidding, but wow, was I thinking that the whole time while watching this movie. The people at Nintendo were probably watching this movie on repeat when cooking up those two games. There is so many similarities. The main protagonist has an arm that's been infected. The wildlife is becoming corrupt. We have a weird deer god. These things look like Koroks. There's probably even more comparisons I can make, but those are just the initial ones I could think of. This movie is epic. It takes a lot of what Nausica of the Valley of the Wind does, but just somehow manages to do it even better. This movie has a bunch of different factions and characters that we learn about. The overall climax between all these factions is really exciting and thrilling. The main character is surprisingly too strong for his own good, which was pretty cool whenever he showcased his abilities. He literally cut off people's limbs with a bow and arrow. This is so sick. This movie is just so crazy. I thought there was something rather awesome about this movie, but surprisingly, it wasn't my favorite. It's still really good though. I highly recommend you watch it. Ocean Waves. This movie is pretty bad. I don't like this one. I think I'm gonna put this honestly at the bottom. Didn't really find myself vibing with this movie at all. Pom Poko. So this film had such an amazing concept, but was pretty bad in its overall execution of it. I think we are going to place this bottom of B tier. This movie is a mess, whereas these movies at least has a coherent narrative that is easy to follow along. I'm really let down by this movie. Whispers of the Heart. This is a banger. I don't like it as much as Porco. I do like it more than Kiki's. I think I like it less than My Neighbor Totaro. So we're gonna remove Totaro up and we're gonna put Whispers of the Heart right here. I think I'm happy about this. Princess Mononoke. This is tough. This is a really tough one. The style in this movie is awesome. One of the more mature Studio Ghibli movies. Where do I put this? I'm gonna have to make some changes to this real quick. Give me 1 second. So Kiki's Delivery Service has been bumped down to the top of A tier. This might be a little surprising, but overall, I did find myself enjoying My Neighbor Totaro more than Princess Mononoke. No, that's cap. What the hell am I talking about? Yeah, that's better. I definitely like Princess Mononoke more. Hello everyone, today is day 4. Yesterday, we ended off with 2 pretty good freaking movies. Can we keep that streak going with this next movie, My Neighbors The Yamadas? Never heard of this movie before, gonna be honest. The Yamadas navigate their way through life's ups and downs with a sharp-tongued grandmother, a teenage son, and a small but loud daughter. All right, here we go. I'm not really expecting much from this movie, but who knows? Maybe this one will be my favorite one. My Neighbor The Yamadas. This is the most slice of life movie that Studio Ghibli has to offer. This movie is just so different from what the studio has delivered so far. And surprisingly, I really liked it. The art style took a little bit to get adjusted to. It kind of looks like a storybook, which I didn't really like at first. But then slowly as the movie progressed, I found myself actually really appreciating. I think the visuals just added a lot to the story. This movie at its core is about this family and a collection of little short stories about the family's life. A better way to explain this film is like if you watched 5 episodes of your favorite sitcom. I really enjoyed getting to know the characters and watching the silly little adventures that they went on. Alright, I finished The Yamadas. That was cute. Just a bunch of short stories. Honestly, I kind of expected a lot worse, but no, it was pretty good. Anyway, now we have Spirited Away to go over. The quote-unquote best Studio Ghibli film. Spirited Away. Ghibli's golden boy and one of 2 movies I had actually seen before I made this video. Naturally, as someone who enjoys watching movies, I have searched up multiple times best movies of all time, and Spirited Away always comes up in those lists. Growing up, I always heard that this movie was really, really good, so about 4 months ago, I checked it out. I watched the English sub of it, and I gotta be honest, I really didn't vibe with it. When the movie ended, I felt like I just didn't understand what I watched. Truth be told, maybe my expectations going into the movie were just a bit too high, but still, this movie just really didn't resonate with me. And that was just my opinion on it. I figured, whatever, you know, people like this movie and that's pretty cool. I just don't think this movie is for me. Flash forward to today, when I watch this movie again, this movie is so kick-ass. And I'm not even just saying that for this video. I genuinely really enjoyed this movie on my rewatch. Even though I already knew what was gonna happen, for some reason, I found myself more glued to the screen, more interested in the story, more excited to see what was gonna happen next. I also watched the movie in dub this time around, and I think that really helped my appreciation of the film. I found myself understanding and connecting with a lot more of the characters in this movie. One of the characters being No Face. I didn't really understand the purpose of this character when I first watched the movie, but with the English voice acting, I found that he was just a lot more charming this time around. Spirited Away follows Chihiro as she goes on one of the weirdest adventures Studio Ghibli has to offer. Her family has turned into pigs, and now she is trying to reverse the curse and go back home. This is another one of those movies where I really can't explain why it is it works, why it is it resonated with me, and I just think that's kind of awesome. Studio Ghibli manages to every once in a while not create a movie, but rather create an experience. It seems like Studio Ghibli likes to break the classic storytelling structure sometimes and focus more on allowing its characters to just exist in these worlds that they inhabit. The awesome thing is we get to follow along in these journeys alongside these fully realized main characters. Not every single Studio Ghibli film feels like this, but every once in a while, the studio releases an experience you just gotta be a part of. Okay, so I like that way more the second time around. I actually think I prefer the dub a lot more. This is up there with one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films, 100%. I see why this movie is special now. This one was really good. But honestly, I don't even need to tell you that. My Neighbors The Yamadas. We're gonna bump Nausica up. I like it more than Only Yesterday. Spirited Away. This is tough. Studio Ghibli's golden boy. This is the movie that everybody loves. Like, dude, this movie is phenomenal. Actually, so fire. I feel like it is a little bandwagony and predictable for me to put this at the top of S tier. Also, does it even have the power to beat Porco? I don't know. I think I'm gonna put it in second place for right now. It's definitely better than all the other movies here. But I don't know, man. Ladies, he's just a pig. The Cat Returns. I think this is the sequel to Whispers of the Heart. It seems like that. We haven't confirmed that. The Cat Returns. Looking at this film, I thought it was gonna be a sequel to Whispers of the Heart, and it is, but also isn't. The only thing that really connects these 2 movies together is the cat. And oh my god, the cat is so cool. This movie is really weird. It involves a girl saving a cat's life, and now she is supposed to marry the cat. Yeah. Weird. That is literally all this movie is about. The Cat Kingdom is forcing this girl to get married, and she's like, I don't want to get married to a cat. Which honestly, thinking about it, I think is very valid. This movie is really adorable, and if you like cats, you should watch it. So it's over. The Cat Returns is over. The cat has returned, and now it has left. Goodbye, cat. This was like a sequel, but it wasn't really a sequel. Kind of weird, but I did like it. If you like cats, you'll like this movie. Hi, my name is Howl, and my castle is moving. The movie is really weird, and honestly, I don't really know if it makes any sense. I watched this movie twice for this video, and for some reason, I really loved it. But also, what did I watch? This movie involves this girl who doesn't really think she's that pretty or attractive, running into Howl, who is like this pretty boy who can also do magic. After her encounter with Howl, she gets turned into an old lady, and the only way to break the curse is with the power of true love. But then there's also like elements of a war going on, and there's this scarecrow that's bouncing around, and there's this fire named Calcifer, who is awesome. He's so cool. We love Calcifer. There's a bunch of other very likable characters throughout as well. One of the coolest visuals in the movie was just watching Howl's moving castle actually move. There's a lot that I really enjoyed about this movie, but it's still weird. Like, I don't really know if I would recommend it to anyone. I just really liked it. It's another one of those movies that doesn't really feel like a movie. It's just an experience. Like, this is what we made. Do you like it or do you not? Personally, I liked it a lot. Christian Bale? No way. What? I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. Wow. That's crazy. They got Batman playing Howls. Really good. Really good stuff. Studio Ghibli is putting out banger after banger after banger. Tales from Earthsea. There's a dragon on the front. This looks cool. I literally just realized while editing this video that I forgot to talk about this movie. And that makes sense because this movie is so forgettable. I do not like this movie at all. This movie stinks, which is kind of a shame because look, there's literally a dragon in this movie. There's a dragon in this movie and they still fumble. You know how many good pieces of media there are with dragons in them? Shrek, How to Train Your Dragons, Game of Thrones. How can you mess up a movie when you got a dragon in it? I don't know. This movie's pretty bad. The cat returns. This is not going to go high. I think it's about time we start moving some of these into the F tier, not gonna lie. This movie isn't my bread and butter. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I definitely did like it more than these other films. These could obviously still make it back up into B tier. Howl's Moving Castle. God, this movie doesn't make any sense in my eyes. Like, genuinely, I do not understand this film whatsoever. With that being said, though, I fucking love this movie and I do not know why. It's better than Princess Mononoke in my eyes. Worse than Spirited Away. This is an issue, though, because it looks like our S tier is complete, but this is not at all what the S tier is going to look like. I can tell you right now, it is definitely missing a couple of movies that I really, really like. Tales of Earthsea. This is not one of them. This movie sucks. I'm gonna put this right here. Yeah, no. Just no. Good morning, everyone. It is day 6, I think. Next up, the movie that we have is Ponyo. This is a movie I've actually already seen. Ponyo. I love this movie. I watched it for the first time about a month before making this video, and man, I was so excited to watch it again when making this video. This movie is short, sweet, and very fun to watch the whole way through. Ponyo is a fish, apparently a goldfish. She doesn't really look like a goldfish. I don't know what these people are talking about. She really wants to be a human. This movie feels like if you were trying to make a parody of The Little Mermaid, but you were on a lot of drugs. Ponyo and this human named Sasuke have a really, really fun and adorable dynamic. I just really, really liked seeing these two interact with one another and taking on the world that they inhabit. There's one point where they're on a toy boat and they're sailing the ocean, and it's just so freaking adorable, dude. I just couldn't help but smile the whole way through. I really liked the scenes where we got to see Ponyo experience being a human for the first time. Like, she's running around and jumping on couches. She's eating food and discovering that her favorite food is ham. It's all really, really cute stuff. This movie is such a fun experience. Also, I really like the Ponyo song that they play, and it is stuck in my head. I feel like the more and more I watch these Studio Ghibli films, the more and more I'm starting to really, really adore them. Like, they're just so nice. They're just such a vibe. They just are what they are. And if you like them, you like them. And if you don't, you don't. It's just like, it makes me appreciate the fact that I am a human being. And it is so weird to describe and like to say that out loud. I'm so happy I've watched this movie. Next up, we have a movie called The Secret World of Arrietty. This movie is about little people, literally just
tiny versions of human beings.
We've all seen this type of film before. Regular-sized human stumbles upon a smaller life form, and the two of them, even though they're different, end up becoming friends. This movie is like the B movie. Have you seen the B movie? Do you like the B movie? Do you like jazz? I didn't really have any expectations when going into this movie. It didn't really seem like something I was going to like. I mean, the concept is interesting, but I've seen this done a million times before. And I don't really think this movie did anything super different with the concept. I felt like this was just a mix of a bunch of different stories I'd already seen before. It kind of just seemed too normal, too safe for my liking. Everything I expected to happen did happen. You know, it was a very simple concept, very simple story. Next up, we have a movie called From Up on Poppy Hill. Besides Grave of the Fireflies, I feel like whenever Studio Ghibli makes a movie about the world wars, I don't really find myself enjoying them all too much. I don't really like the serious tones that some of these Studio Ghibli movies take, so as a result, I didn't really find myself enjoying this movie all too much. This movie had some pleasant moments, and I do really like the storyline about the students trying to stick up for their clubhouse. Japan wants to tear it down, and they're like, no, we don't want you to tear it down. That part was pretty cool. Overall, this movie was just pretty okay in my eyes. I think it's good. I just don't think it was for me. I just finished Up on Poppy Hill. That makes 3 movies knocked out today. We have 5 more Studio Ghibli movies left. This one was another one that was just pretty okay. I'm kind of like nervous now. Did we run out of all the good Studio Ghibli films? Is Boy and the Heron good? That's kind of like the only one I actually think might have a chance in topping the S tier list from this point on. I guess we're gonna have to see. Ponyo. This is a certified banger. We like bangers. Oh my god, this movie is so adorable, dude. And it definitely should be going in S tier. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think putting Totoro in the S tier at the very beginning was maybe a little too ambitious. Man, there are so many amazing Studio Ghibli films. Ponyo being one of them. This movie is genuinely awesome. The Secret World of Arrietty, or however you say this, I don't even know. I don't like this movie as much. It's not going in S tier. It's not going in A tier. I think right here is good. From Up on Poppy Hill. Now this is a pretty good movie, but this is my tier list, and in my eyes, it's not as good as everything else. Honestly, we'll put it right there. I feel like that's pretty good. We got 5 more movies. Do any of these movies have potential to do it? To be a part of my S tier ranking? Or are all these going down in the lower tiers? The Wind Rises. This is a movie about a dude who just really likes planes. Kind of like the movie I watched earlier, Porco Rosso. Except this movie is not like Porco at all because I don't really care for this movie. This dude just spends the whole movie building planes and talking about planes, and they're in a war, so they need to make planes. Okay, I'm being a little harsh. There's more to the story overall, but to its core, that's what it's about. And it was just another one of those movies I just kind of was happy it was over so I could move on to the next one. The Tale of Princess Kaguya. This movie, first of all, is really pretty. I really like the art style. I was actually really excited to watch this movie for probably a really stupid reason. It's because of this manga right here. This is Kaguya-sama Love is War. This is a romantic comedy manga that I highly adore. Everybody watching this video who is invested in that genre should definitely check this out. Anyway, I bring this series up because in chapter 56, our main 2 characters share a quiet moment together on a rooftop talking about the story of Princess Kaguya and what the 2 of them would do if they were actually in that story. I've always found this moment in the manga really incredible, and honestly, I think this is the moment I got hooked on the series, but at the time, I didn't really know what the Tale of Princess Kaguya was. So obviously, with this movie, I was eager to know what it was because I thought it was gonna make chapter 56 even more special in my eyes. And I was right. The Tale of Princess Kaguya is a weird one. It's about a girl from the moon who is now on Earth, growing up and learning how amazing it is to be a human. We see her make friends, fall in love, learn different skills. But then we also see moments where she experiences the harsher side of human existence. This movie was a really fun watch, and I really liked the story it was trying to tell. Going into this movie, I had a feeling I was already gonna like it, but I found myself enjoying it even more than I initially thought I would. I like that one. That one was pretty good. When Marnie Was There. This movie is another one that's a weird one for me. This movie probably resonates with a lot of people, and rightfully so. It's a pretty good movie. I just didn't really find myself connecting with it all too much. I personally just don't really feel like this movie was for me. This movie centers itself around our main character Anna and her internal personal struggles. She meets this mysterious girl named Marnie, and as the movie progresses, she slowly opens up to her and they become friends. And it also seemed like there was low-key like a love will they won't they thing going on between the 2. I don't know. The movie was weird. If you know, you know. It was a good time, but overall I didn't really find myself enjoying it that much. That movie was just decent. Earwig and the Witch. Oh boy, what the heck is this movie? Firstly, the animation style on this movie is completely different than anything else this studio has ever put out. It genuinely does not feel like a Studio Ghibli movie, and that is not a good thing. I mean, Studio Ghibli over the years has experimented with a bunch of different styles, but wow, this looks like nightmare fuel. Why did we try this? Why did we do this? I genuinely forgot that I was watching a Studio Ghibli movie when watching this movie. This movie is about an orphaned girl named Earwig. She gets adopted by this witch lady, and the whole movie involves her strategizing a way to rebel against her strict parents. This movie is just so strange, dude, and definitely doesn't look or feel like anything that could have came out in 2020. This movie is not ahead of its time. It is so behind in time. I don't know, this feels like an early 2000s film. This movie was just kind of dull and rough, and definitely just gonna be a film that I only watched once. Now I'm never gonna watch this movie again. The Wind Rises. This shit is not fire. I think we're gonna move Pom Poko even more down. The Wind Rises is just a movie that is not for me. It kind of feels weird putting it in F tier alongside Pom Poko. I feel like these movies definitely deserve to be higher than F tier, but I'm kind of running out of room. So this is what we have to do. The Tale of Princess Kaguya. This movie is awesome. Am I happy with that being in 4th place? I think that's better. When Marnie Was There. I don't really know what to do with this. Some might say this is a little low. I do not care. I didn't really find myself personally connecting with this movie at all. I think this is a pretty good space for it. Earwig and the Witch. Okay, this movie is unanimous for being one of the worst Studio Ghibli movies that has ever come out. I do think it is pretty bad. They were trying to be very experimental with this one, so I'll give it some slack. I'm kind of happy with how I made this tier list because I do think I would have placed it right here. Okay, today is the final day of watching Studio Ghibli movies. We have one movie left. The Boy and the Heron. Many people thought Miyazaki was done, that he was retired, that he did his time, made his impact on the movie scene, and now he was gone for good, to never return to the screen again. Nope, he's back. He made one more movie. Is it his best movie of all time? No. But is it better than what the studio released right before this? Yeah, it is. The Boy and the Heron is a return to form for this studio, which thank God, dude. I was really happy about this. This movie is visually just incredible. It has a bunch of weird characters littered throughout with so much charm and personality. I genuinely really like this heron, dude. And oh my God, these giant bird things that cook, they were cooking when they were making this. I cannot lie. The overall story that they crafted for this movie as well was just pretty interesting. This is a story about our main character, Mahito, and a journey of dealing with life after a family member had passed away. This movie is a fun one. It's not one of the best that the studio has ever produced, but it is definitely the weirdest, one of the weirdest. This movie is really weird, but in a good way. I really enjoyed this movie. I think maybe it was a bit too long, but it's okay. It's not one of the best that the studio had to offer, but it was still a pretty good time. The Boy and the Heron. The only spot we have left is the top of A tier, and let me tell you, this is not going in the top of A tier. Bottom of A tier seems pretty good. I definitely think it's better than this down here, but not as good as all the stuff up here. Whoa! What do you think of the list? Do you agree with it? Do you not? If you've seen all these movies, let me know how you would have ranked them. You remember that Letterboxd account I was talking about and how I wanted a movie to take one of the 4 slots? Well, Porco Rosso managed to do it. This movie is so cool. Anyway, hit that subscribe button, guys. I'm trying to hit 30,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out some of my other videos. I'm gonna go watch more Studio Ghibli.